Hey guys, it's Coach Caglione here. Here's another edition of our Meathead Monday Tips, and today we're talking about the Sumo Deadlift from scratch. So maybe you're a newer lifter, maybe you're a youth athlete, and you want to learn how to Sumo Deadlift because that's what all the cool kids are doing, despite what the internet commenters say. Sumo Deadlift is a great variation of the deadlift. It's definitely a nice in-between, like a stiff leg deadlift, a pure hinge, and like a squat. Maybe if you're someone who has like lower back issues, or if you just want to build up your hips, the Sumo Deadlift is a great variation for people to learn. The biggest difference between, I do think that people should learn both stances. I do think that if you're even primarily you want to pull sumo, I think it's good to learn both. The biggest difference between a sumo deadlift and a conventional deadlift, in a conventional deadlift there's going to be more of a moment or more of potential to stimulate your back and hamstrings because the bar is further out in front of you. You have more of a hinged position. We talked about in the conventional deadlift video. If you haven't watched that, definitely watch that as well. In a sumo deadlift, you're just going to be a little bit more upright, so it's going to be a little bit less moment on the back. And since we have more external rotation of the hip, it's going to work kind of our glutes and our kind of hip rotators just a little bit more. So it's a little bit different. It's going to be less limiting on the back, more limiting on the hips. It's going to be the difference between the sumo and the conventional deadlift. Both are great. I like both. So if you want to learn how to sumo deadlift, a good kind of first drill is just doing like some wider stance squats or just doing some like an exercise we call like a squat to stand. Admittedly, just so at the time of the taping of this video, I did a 900-pound reverse stand squat yesterday, so I apologize if the form is not great. I'm feeling a little tight, as you can imagine. So I'm going to do my best to demo this, but I'm a little bit tight today. So just if my back is not perfect, just excuse me for today. So you're going to get a little bit of a wider stance than what you would normally squat. You're going to grab the insides of your feet and just pull yourself down to a deep squat. So like right now, I'm feeling really tight, so this is like about it. But this is a good way to kind of prep your hips. So we call this a squat to stand. So ideally, I'd want to pull my chest up and get more like here, but I'm not. So for me, I'd probably have to let go of my hands and just let my fingertips graze the ground. So that's a good way to start, just prepping your hips a little bit. The bodyweight wall squat is another good one with a wider stance. So if I fault, I'm going to hit my head into the ground, into the floor. Sorry, I'm going to blame the 900 squat on that one too, guys. If I fall forward, I'm going to hit my head on the wall. And if I let my knees come forward, I'm going to hit my knees on the wall. So I'm just trying to drive my knees out, push my butt back, and just getting like a good starting position for the sumo deadlift. It doesn't need to be a full parallel squat, but something close. If I could pause, I should be able to pause at any point if I'm in a good position. So I start off with some wall squats, start off with some squat to stand. From there, we're going to do a box deadlift, just with a dowel rod, just to kind of learn the positions a little bit. The height of the box is going to be a little bit higher than where you would box squat from. So instead of being parallel, maybe you're going to be like about 135 degrees or so. Feet are going to be ducked out slightly. So we're just going to work on the positions here with no weight. We're going to work on pulling the chest up. And one of the common faults of a sumo deadlift is having the hips rise too early. So we want our shoulders to rise. So it's just a play on the box squat. So we're going to work on arching, getting into a neutral position, standing up. We're going to come back down, relax the back, tension the back, stand up. From here, I could do that with lighter weights or with kettlebells. It doesn't really work as well with dumbbells because you want to be able to touch the floor. So again, we want to, as far as how wide should you go, make sure your knee is tracking your ankle. So we're going to lift up here. I can even just do that a couple of times. Come straight up. Flex the quads, flex the butt. Come back down, relax, lift, lift straight up. From there, we could take the box away, or you could do this drill. We'll come over here, do this drill with the bar. just with light weights. This is a women's bar. It's 33 pounds with the 10s on, so it's about 63 pounds. So I can just do this a couple of times. Let's work on my back position. Yuri Belkin, I'm coming for you. We don't want to see the hips come up first. Keep tension in the box. Come straight up. And from here, you can just do a kettlebell deadlift. This is something you can't really use dumbbells with. You have to use kettlebells, but you can do pauses or just regular. I like to start with pauses first. Barbell, kettlebells are over the midfoot. Lift the chest, pause, extend. Legs, hips. So that's the kettlebell deadlift. And then from there, we'll work on the bar with a pause first. The pause is really great for just ingraining your positions. And again, just like with the squat, a lot of times people will fold over at the upper back, they'll fold over at the hips, and they'll have their hips rise before the shoulders. You want the shoulders and hips to rise evenly. So we're gonna work on the sumo deadlift with the pause now. The setup's gonna be very similar to a conventional deadlift, but since we're ducking our feet out more, we're going to set up a little bit closer to the bar. And how wide should you go? Again, you want to get your knee out to where, so if my knees are in here, no good. My knees are out over my ankles, that's a good position. Same thing with the grip. Start off double overhand, then you can go hook. If hook's not working for you, then you can go mixed after that. If you have some sort of limitation and you're not a competitive power lifter, you could certainly use straps as well. Start in a bad position, pull the chest up, feel the click, legs, hips, hips, knees. And eventually, normal reps. And once you're able to do like sets of 5, sets of 8, sets of 10 with a certain weight, just go all up a little bit at a time, no rush. So that's the sumo deadlift from scratch. Start off with some wall squats to some body weight squat to stands. Then I'll progress to some the box deadlift drill for the sumo. Excellent, do that with kettlebells. So you can do a kettlebell deadlift, box deadlift with the bar, and then eventually deadlifts from the floor. Again, you can also do these off blocks, especially if you're limited in mobility. Start with like a 1.5 inch block and eventually progress your way down to the floor. With all these drills, in terms of the athlete, think about what they have, in terms of range of motion, in terms of ability, in terms of strength, what can they own in terms of their motor control, and what can they tolerate in terms of volume, intensity, and exercise selection. So these are all things to consider. If you want to learn how to sumo deadlift, if you have a friend that wants to learn how to sumo deadlift and they're new, share this video with them. Check out the links below if you want to support the program. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.